Before kings knew his name, before the world bowed at his word, there was a boy with a dream. Joseph, the son of Jacob, the son of Rachel, the child of promise, born in old age. His father loved him more than any of his other sons, and the robe Joseph wore was a symbol of that love, a coat of many colors, vibrant and unmistakable. A mark of favor, and a spark of jealousy. His brothers hated him for it, but the dream, that changed everything. Joseph dreamed of sheaves in the field, his standing tall while his brothers' sheaves bowed low. Then another dream, stars, sun, and moon bowing before him. Visions too great for a 17-year-old to carry without consequence. He told them, they mocked him. They hated him more. "Will you really reign over us?" they said. "Will you actually rule us?" And yet, heaven had spoken. A divine whisper planted in the heart of a boy, a seed that would one day become salvation. But first, the dream would have to die. One day, the brothers saw their chance. Joseph was sent by his father to check on them, wandering near Shechem, searching the fields, but envy sees opportunity in innocence. And when they saw him from a distance, their hearts burned with hatred. "Here comes that dreamer," they said. "Let's kill him. Throw him into a pit, say a wild beast devoured him. Then we'll see what becomes of his dreams." But Reuben, the eldest, intervened, "Do not lay a hand on him." He planned to rescue Joseph later, but sometimes delay is all the enemy needs. They stripped Joseph of his robe, the coat of many colors, torn from his shoulders like the favor he once wore. They threw him into a pit, empty, dark, with no water, a place where dreams go to die. Then came the sound of caravan bells, Ishmaelite traders on their way to Egypt. Judah spoke, "What profit is there in killing our brother? Let's sell him." And so they did. For 20 pieces of silver, they handed their brother to strangers. Joseph, the dreamer, was bound in chains. Sold like a slave, led toward a land not his own. They dipped his robe in blood, and carried it to their father. "Do you recognize this?" they asked. And Jacob wept as one who had lost everything. But what they meant for evil, God had already woven into his plan. Joseph arrived in Egypt, not as a guest, but as property. He was sold to Potiphar, captain of Pharaoh's guard, a man of power, command, and consequence. Yet even in chains, the Lord was with Joseph. In every task, he excelled. In every duty, he rose. Potiphar saw that everything Joseph touched prospered, and so he gave the young Hebrew charge over his entire household. From the pit to stewardship, this was not the end of the dream, it was the preparation. But favor often attracts fire. Joseph was well-built, and handsome, and Potiphar's wife, driven by lust, sought to entangle him. "Come lie with me," she whispered, day after day. But Joseph would not sin, not against Potiphar, and not against God. "How could I do such a wicked thing?" he said. "How could I sin against the Lord?" One day, she seized his garment as he fled, leaving it in her hands. Scorned, she cried out, "False words, deadly words. This Hebrew tried to violate me." Potiphar was enraged. Joseph, though innocent, was cast into the king's prison. Another robe stripped, another fall, another grave. But even in the prison, the Lord was with him. And though man had locked him away, heaven was still opening doors. The prison was dark, cold, forgotten by men. But Joseph was not forgotten by God. In time, the warden placed all the prisoners under his care. Even in chains, Joseph led. Even in silence, he served. For the Lord was with him, and whatever he did, he made it prosper. Then came 2 new prisoners, Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker, both fallen from royal favor. Each had a dream, each was troubled. And Joseph, moved by compassion, said, "Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me your dreams." The cupbearer dreamed of a vine with 3 branches, budding and bearing grapes. Joseph replied, "In 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you." Encouraged, the baker shared his dream, 3 baskets of bread, with birds eating from the top. Joseph's face grew solemn. "In 3 days, Pharaoh will lift off your head, you will be hanged." And just as he said, it came to pass. Joseph turned to the cupbearer, "Remember me, mention me to Pharaoh, show kindness. I was taken from my homeland, I've done nothing to deserve this prison." But the cupbearer forgot him. 2 full years passed, 2 years of silence, 2 years of waiting. But Joseph never let go of the God who held the dream. And in the furnace of delay, his faith did not burn out, it burned brighter. Then, after 2 long years, the silence broke. Pharaoh, king of Egypt, had a dream, one that robbed him of rest. In his vision, 7 fat cows rose from the Nile, followed by 7 thin cows who devoured the fat, but remained just as gaunt. A second dream came, 7 full heads of grain swallowed by 7 scorched and withered ones. Pharaoh awoke troubled, none of Egypt's magicians or wise men could explain it. Then the cupbearer remembered. "Today I am reminded of my shortcomings," he said. There was a Hebrew in prison. A young man who interpreted dreams, and everything happened just as he said. Pharaoh sent for Joseph. In a moment, the prisoner was summoned to the palace. Shaved, robed, brought before the throne. "I've heard it said you can interpret dreams," Pharaoh declared. Joseph answered, "I cannot, but God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires." He listened, then spoke. "The dreams are one and the same, God has revealed what he is about to do. 7 years of abundance will come, followed by 7 years of famine so severe it will consume the land. Let Pharaoh appoint a wise man to store grain during the years of plenty, so that Egypt may survive the years of lack." Pharaoh and his officials were astonished. "Can we find anyone like this man, one in whom is the Spirit of God?" And in a single moment, the prisoner became a prince. Joseph was given authority over all Egypt, second only to Pharaoh. He wore the signet ring, he was dressed in fine linen, he rode in a chariot as men cried out before him, "Bow the knee." The dream was alive again, not in the field of his youth, but in the halls of Egypt. The years of abundance came, just as Joseph had said. Under his leadership, Egypt stored grain in every city. The harvests were beyond counting, but then, the sky changed. The land dried, the famine began. Not just in Egypt, but across the whole world. And from the land of Canaan, hunger drove 10 brothers to journey south. They bowed before the governor of Egypt, not knowing it was their own brother, the one they betrayed, now robed in authority. Joseph recognized them at once, but he did not reveal himself, he remembered the dream. Your sheaves bowed to mine, and here it was, playing out before his very eyes. He spoke harshly, accused them of spying, tested their hearts. You say you have a younger brother, bring him to me. Let me see if your words are true. He kept Simeon bound, and the others returned home, grain in their sacks, but fear in their hearts. When they opened their bags, they found the silver returned, and their guilt awakened. Jacob wept, you have bereaved me. Joseph is no more, Simeon is no more, and now you would take Benjamin too. But the famine pressed on. And so, with trembling hands, the brothers brought Benjamin to Egypt. Joseph saw him, his mother's son, and could barely hold back tears. He hosted them, feasted with them, yet still withheld his identity. Then one final test. He placed his silver cup in Benjamin's sack, and as they departed, he sent his steward after them. "Why have you repaid good with evil?" The brothers tore their clothes in grief. Judah stepped forward. "Let me remain in his place," he pleaded. "Do not bring this sorrow upon our father, his life is bound up in the boys." And in that moment, Joseph saw what he needed, not guilt, but change. Joseph could bear it no longer. The weight of years, the ache of exile, the pain of betrayal, and now, the proof of repentance. The mask fell, the room emptied, and the brothers stood before him, trembling. He wept so loudly the Egyptians heard it. "I am Joseph," he cried, "is my father still alive?" But his brothers could not answer, they were dismayed, stunned into silence. "Come closer," Joseph said. "It is me, your brother, the one you sold into Egypt. But do not be distressed, do not be angry with yourselves, for God sent me ahead of you to preserve life. What they meant for evil, God had orchestrated for good. It was not you who sent me here, but God." And in that moment, grace triumphed over vengeance, tears replaced terror, and the dream was redeemed. Joseph embraced Benjamin, then each of his brothers. Reconciliation flowed like a river long dammed up by guilt and fear. Word reached Pharaoh, "Joseph's brothers have come." He welcomed them with favor, commanding wagons and provisions for their journey home. "Tell your father," Joseph said, "come to me, I will provide for you." For 5 more years of famine remain. And so they departed, hearts overwhelmed, minds reeling with wonder. When Jacob saw the wagons, when he heard the words, "Joseph my son is alive. I will go and see him before I die." Hope, once buried in grief, now rose again. Israel, Jacob, set out for Egypt with all he had. And as he journeyed, God spoke to him in a vision of the night, "Do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, I will make you into a great nation there. I will go with you, and I will surely bring you back again." When Joseph saw his father, he fell upon his neck and wept a long while. Years of silence, sorrow, and separation melted into one moment of embrace. "Now I can die," Jacob said, "for I have seen your face and know that you are still alive." Pharaoh received them graciously. Goshen, the best of the land, was given to them. Joseph presented his father before Pharaoh, and Jacob, the patriarch, blessed the king of Egypt. In the midst of famine, they flourished. Joseph led with wisdom as the people came for food. He gave grain in exchange for silver, for livestock, for land. And when all was spent, he did not oppress them, he preserved them. He gave seed to sow and sustenance to survive. And so Israel dwelt in Egypt, in the land of Goshen. They acquired property, they grew exceedingly numerous, the covenant people prospered in a foreign land. Jacob lived 17 more years in Egypt, but before his time came, he called Joseph and made him swear, "Do not bury me in Egypt, take me to the land of my fathers." Then he blessed Joseph's sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, elevating them as his own. And with prophetic vision, he gathered his 12 sons and spoke over each a word for generations yet to come. Then he breathed his last, and was gathered to his people, and Joseph kept his promise. With great sorrow and great honor, Joseph buried his father. Egypt mourned for Jacob, chariots and horsemen formed a procession. The Canaanites said, "This is a grievous mourning of the Egyptians." But it was for Israel, a patriarch laid to rest in the land of promise. Then the brothers trembled. "What if Joseph now pays us back for all the wrong we did to him?" They came before him once more, not as brothers, but as servants. They fell down and said, "We are your slaves." But Joseph replied with words forged in heaven, "Do not be afraid. Am I in the place of God? You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. So then, do not be afraid, I will provide for you and your children." And he reassured them, and spoke kindly to them. Years passed, Joseph saw the children of his children. But Egypt was not his home, and before he died, he spoke a final promise. "God will surely come to your aid and take you up out of this land, to the land he promised on oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. When he does, carry my bones up from here." Then Joseph died, full of years, full of faith. They embalmed him, and placed him in a coffin in Egypt. But the dream was not buried. It lived on in every generation, in every deliverance, in every act of providence yet to come. Because when God gives a dream, no pit, no prison, no pharaoh can stop it.